Now to our major story of the day. The political crisis in Rivers State seems unabated as some leaders in the state have threatened to resist any plan to demolish the House of Assembly quarters as a dispute between the lawmakers and Governor Pro-Fubara worsens. We have details in this report.
Members of the House of Representatives, local government chairmen and key figures from different political parties converged on the legislator's residence. This location has been a beehive of activity since Governor Fubara visited and suggested that the quarters may need to undergo renovation work. But the assembly members took the delegation on tour to show that there was no justifiable reason for that. If there is any truth to the rumors of plans to roll in the bulldozers, the lawmakers say it is politically motivated.
You will see where they destroyed Padlock, and then in an unimaginable fashion, a sitting governor of a state, one who is expected to uphold the sanctity of the constitution and all our laws, he broke into this place the way thieves break into people's houses in the night.
They also inspected the makeshift legislative chamber and facilities within and gave the structure a clean bill of health.
We have commissioned engineers to study and give us a report on the integrity of these structures. We have received the report. The report we have is that these structures have a lifespan of not less than 25 years. And we have on our own come out to also physically inspect the structures to cross-check that with the report we received.
This assembly premises is literally the best within this West African sub-region. If you look at this facility, show me any state that has something like this, as serene and as well put together. When you take it down, you need reverse money to build it back another time. What of the development we promised will happen? So this is not the way to go.
With the demolition of the assembly complex in December 2023 and the fate of the residential quarters now hanging in the balance, there is concern that the independence of the legislature is threatened.
Promoting or projecting or proclaiming what he calls executive order to bring assembly into government house. In other words, you are not fusing the executive and the legislative arm in one. It is not done. It is not constitutional.
Members of the State Assembly led by Martin Amehule say they will continue to sit because no court of competent jurisdiction has declared their seats vacant.
For more on the political crisis in Rivers State, legal practitioner Liborous Oshoma joins me on the program. Good to have you join us, Mr. Oshoma.
Yeah, good evening, Ambassador.
All right. Well, the crisis in Rivers State is taking on new twists. What is your reaction to the emergence of a factional speaker? Would you call it a pure political issue, or is there a legal backing to that?
I have consistently frowned at people who had used that word, factional speaker. That's why, we see this kind of rascality playing out. Because the media would give him vent, give him stamp of authority as factional speaker. There is only one speaker in Rivers State, and as far as the law is concerned. Anybody that sees a factional one stands law on its head. And I want to say this with all sense of modesty. This same thing played out during Governor Amechi's time as the governor of Rivers State. The people that are supporting Fubara and his clowns today condemned what Evans BP, if you remember, led 5 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly in a House of Assembly of 32 members, led 5 in an attempt to suspend and impeach the then speaker and subsequently impeach the governor. We all condemned it. So now the question you will ask is, even the former speaker, factional, Edison Hige, or whatever his name is. Edison Hige, yes, that's his name, sorry. Edison Hige, and who is now the current chief of staff to the governor. Even the shenanigans that gave rise to his speakership also has no foundation in law, because 5 members cannot suspend 27 members in a House of 32. It's a legal impossibility. And then also, I would hope and I wish that the elders in Rivers State will call all warring parties together. Wike, as I understand that Wike as a governor will not tolerate anybody breathing down his neck. Also, he should not try to bring down the neck of the current government.
Mr. Oshoma. All right, but if we look back, Mr. Oshoma, yes, you would land on that. I just wanted to bring in, an aspect to this. Back in October, when all of this started, these lawmakers actually defected from their political party and said they joined another political party. So if you consider Section 109 of the Constitution, are they actually members of the State House of Assembly?
That Section 109 does not activate itself. By virtue of Section 2 of Section 109, it is the Speaker that declares seats vacant. It is not it's not an automatic event. Tambuwa defected on the floor of the House of Rep. It is Tambuwa that ought to have declared his own seat vacant. He didn't do that.
Did Mr. Amewule not do that? Did he not write to INEC to declare those seats vacant?
Mr. Amewule, as at the time he was Speaker, he defected also. Mr. Amewule defected. But the question is, was Mr. What's the other man's name that is the Chief of Staff now? Mr. Edison Ehie, was he a Speaker to have declared the seat of 27 lawmakers vacant? That's the question. That's the big question. By virtue of subsection 2 of Section 109, it is the Speaker, the sitting Speaker, that declares the seat vacant. And the governor cannot declare the seat vacant. No other member can declare it vacant. INEC cannot declare those seats vacant. The Speaker is the person statutory empowered to declare the seat vacant and subsequently write to INEC that those seats have been declared vacant. So in the absence of the Speaker doing that, you can only approach the court and ask the court to declare the seats vacant. And I also am aware that there are multifaceted suits in court on this same matter. And also, like I was saying, Wike as a governor will not tolerate any godfather breathing down his neck. Also, he should not try to put his foot down the throat of a current governor. But that said, the president tried to intervene in this matter. And some hangers on, or people around the corridors of power, kept on insisting it is not a constitutional thing. It was an executive order.
Yeah, Mr. Oshoma, we'll get to talk about the political, solution, that has been brought forward and that seems not to be working at the moment. But let's look at the legal angle to this. There have been a number of suits. You made reference to that earlier.
This is illegal.
Yes, Mr. Oshoma, kindly let me land on my thoughts. Thank you. Let's look at the Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt, which gave an interim injunction stopping Martin Amewule and others from parading themselves as lawmakers of the Assembly. That order also restrains them from calling for or taking part in any meetings in the Assembly premises. What is your take about that?
An interim order at best lasts for 7 days. That's one thing people do not know. An interim order, and the Supreme Court had consistently warned that the court should desist from granting interim order. But as that said, not being a judge, a court sits down on a contentious matter such as this, and you hear one party, and you grant a restraining order. And what is the restraining order? Pending the hearing and determination of the substantive suits. And at best, it lasts for 7 days. And so, in the absence of a renewal of that order, what happens? Will that order still be subsisting? So these are the questions. I think that what I am saying here is, the first question people should be asking themselves, even the judges should ask themselves this question: can 5 members validly suspend 27 members? Can 5 members sit down and impeach a speaker to now appoint a speaker by themselves? It is an aberration that we saw 5 members pass a budget. And now it is even more shameful that before we were talking about 5, now we have 4. 4 members elect a speaker amongst them. And so you have a house of 4 members, 1 speaker. And you now begin to ask yourself, and you a court sat down, there an ex parte order, granted an order that the 27 members should stop parading themselves as members of the House. Are we making a mockery of our judiciary or of our democracy? Or we truly, we're not practicing democracy? I completely agree that, what you have here is an issue that there are no wrong side and there are no right side. What you have is a war, and all is fair in war. But in this case, the judiciary
I will have to take a break.
It should not allow itself to be dragged into the murky waters of politics, and that's basically what the judiciary is gradually turning to, and it is laughable.
All right, Mr. Oshoma, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us. Stay with us on the program. We are still talking about the political crisis in Rivers State, which appears to be worsening by the day. And the legal practitioner, Liborous Oshoma, is joining us on the program to better understand and x-ray the matter. Let's look at the political angle to this. The president, as part of his move to resolve the crisis, has actually been called out that his position on the matter does not hold water because the governor now, Governor Pro-Fubara, claims that it is unconstitutional. So where would you say lies the political solution, and what will you, as a lawyer, recommend?
The people that are fanning the embers of this crisis, they know what they are doing. They neither like Wike nor Pro-Fubara. Fubara went to Abuja, sat down with the president, whether an executive order or whether it was an agreement reached, a document was produced and both parties signed that document. If the governor didn't want to sign, he would have just told the president there and then that he wants to study the document and get back to the president. But listening to warmongers and then now claim that, an executive order produced to empower resolution of disputes, that it is not constitutional. And yet the same governor, via an executive order, has demolished the State House of Assembly, via an executive order, has moved the sitting of the State House of Assembly from a place that the Speaker, because it is, by the Constitution, it is the Speaker that ought to designate a place for sitting. Instead of the governor has contravened the Constitution also via an executive order, designate a place inside government house, just like Amechi did in his time, for sitting. And people that are condemning the executive order of the president are supporting the executive order of the governor. Why those that are condemning the executive order of the governor are supporting the executive order of the president? You see the aberration. Just the same way, people who are today supporting Fubara and his 4 clowns called Lawmakers were the same people that condemned Evans VP and his 5 clowns. Those people who supported, who condemned Amechi's high-handedness those days, also today are supporting Wike's and his 27 members' high-handedness. All what is at play here is a man trying to hold on to power, the levers of power. Wike, we know, PDP had been mortgaged to him, and any attempt to rescue PDP from him will be met with steep resistance. That is the genesis of all that is happening in Rivers State. And in Rivers State also, the governor has been told that being a governor, you need to take hold of the levers of power and the political structure. So who laughs last is what we are basically saying play out in Rivers State. And the elders also in Rivers State are not helping matters. I would have expected that former governors in the state, irrespective of political parties, the leaders of thought, religious leaders and stakeholders should be able to call all warring parties together for them to sign a peace accord and say, you know what, let peace reign, because at the end of the day, when 2 elephants fight, it is the ground that suffers. But the way they are going, it is obvious that soon a state of emergency might be declared in Rivers State because it will become impracticable for the State House of Assembly to sit and legislate. And when that becomes impracticable, the National Assembly might have to take over the responsibility of legislating for that state. And that might lead to something different altogether. So I think this is the best time for all the parties to sit down, irrespective of their differences, and look beyond all of these levers of power, Because some of them can close their eyes today and not wake up tomorrow. Look beyond the levers of power and work for the betterment of the state. The state, yes, there are bridges and good roads in the state. But in terms of human capital development, the state is nowhere. So they need to build human capital and ensure that at least come 2027, then they can renew this hostility on who grabs power instead of the governors taking the back burner and politics consistently playing at the top, despite the fact that the elections have been long gone.
You know, I really want us to talk about the people of Rivers State, because you ask, where are they in all of these? These lawmakers were elected by them, and these lawmakers have a duty to make laws that would lead to the betterment of the lives of the residents. So where are they in all of this? Where do they come in? How do they step in, and how do we resolve this issue that's on ground?
I can tell you, right from 1999, there's never been what you call an election properly so-called in Rivers State. In 2015, we saw the election, the protests that rocked Rivers State, the election that produced Wike. Even in 2019, we saw, that crisis, the back and forth with the military, and eventually, at the end of the day, a winner emerged. In the same vein, in 2023, Rivers State was a hotbed for elections. So, because these people really do not believe in the powers of election, or they don't believe that they were actually elected by the people, they believe that they were either elected by one man. Remember, Wike boasted that he bought forms for everybody. Nobody is asking where he took the money from. Anyway, thanks. He's working for APC now, so his sins can be forgiven. He bought forms for everybody, and all these people ought, according to him or in his mind, ought to be subservient to him. The same way he bought forms for them, he probably also assisted them or enabled or made sure that they all become lawmakers. Fubara, we know, was declared wanted by EFCC for almost 2 years. We can hold him up in government house until he was sworn in as governor. So that's why the people, there is a disconnect between the people and those governing them. And that's why it's almost like the people are just helpless. They are watching. And some of them who are political will take sides. Why the leaders, depending on the new cook in the kitchen and how well he's buttering their bread, the leaders will also take sides. Those people chopping from Wike will say Wike can do no wrong. Those chopping from Fubara now will say Fubara can also do no wrong. But at the end of the day, it is governance in the state. Rivers State that consistently, remember, it used to be one of the most beautiful states during the days of Chris Oyakilome, Police Commissioner Oyiko Oyakilome, yes, Fidelis Oyakilome. Subsequently, you had Godwin Abe as governor. And then now, toward Dili and the rest, Amechi and today Fubara. So, but in all of this, we will see development, but human capital development is zero. At a point, it became a hotbed and home for militants. So, if care is not taken, in all of this, there are also people that are being used as thugs on both sides. When the wars and the drums of war is over, the aftermath of the effect of war, the aftermath of the effect of crisis, those people that have been armed, quote and unquote, to provide, as pawns, to provide support to the both warring parties, what becomes of them? So I'm more concerned about, the event after the war than the war. So that's where, as Rivers State are just recovering from crisis, now it's being pushed back into crisis. And the leaders of thought seems not to be concerned. Rivers State, Tobacco those days used to be home to most of the oil companies. A lot of them have moved out. They are all in Lagos, and Lagos now is reaping the benefit of those taxes. Some have moved out of Nigeria. Our seems not concerned. We are all concerned about power, about state apparatus, about who becomes speaker, who becomes governor, who becomes an ambassador. So when we consistently fix our gaze on this, and then judges begin to give orders and counter orders, you cannot develop a state like that. That's why some people are even saying we are not matured for certain things as a state. So it saddens me when I see all of these, shenanigans playing on. You see a House of Assembly. If care is not taken about, a time will come, a governor will lift one man provided he's one man that is standing with him. That man becomes the speaker, he becomes the head of all the committee. He will tell you that one person, one man, will tell you that he has, suspended other members of the House.
Right,
we
Mr.
saw it in Edo State where my former governor, sorry, quickly, I'm rounding up, where my former governor refused to inaugurate members of the State House of Assembly. And people, including senior lawyers and judges, folded their hands and encouraged him on. And that's why we are seeing the high-handedness playing out in Rivers today. And if care is not taken, someday some person will raise one person as a member of the State House of Assembly that will suspend 39 on that. Thank you.
Yes, I hear you. The matter is in court now, and we just really wait to see what comes from these different courts, where different motions have been filed.
Nothing will come from
Legal practitioner Michael Oshoma joined us from Lagos. Thank you very much for your time on the program.
My pleasure.
Well, Governor Obaseki is still the governor